Let me tell you something about time. It's the only thing you spend without ever touching. It slips through your fingers while you're busy thinking there's still plenty of it left. And one day you'll look up and wonder not where the years went, but where you went in those years. You see, life doesn't come with alarms to warn you you're drifting. It whispers. It nudges. And if you don't listen, a decade passes by like a quiet thief in the dark. Now here's the truth that hits hard. You can't rewind the past 10 years, but you can rewrite the next 10. And the pen is in your hand. Starting today, let me tell you, one of the greatest days of your life will be the day you stop waiting. The day you stop waiting for someone to come save you, or apologize, or finally give you the break you think you've earned. That's the day you stop handing your future to someone else and take it back. Now, I know that's not easy. It's far easier to blame the government, the company, the traffic, the weather, your parents. But here's what I learned when I was broke, discouraged, and drifting. Blame only delays progress. Asterisk, asterisk. It gives you a reason to stay stuck while life keeps moving on without you. I remember standing in front of the mirror one evening after a long day of doing a whole lot of nothing, no reading, no prospecting, no discipline. And I thought to myself, who's really responsible for this life I'm living? I couldn't blame my old boss. He was no longer in the picture. I couldn't blame the economy. It was bad for everyone, yet some folks were still getting rich. That's when it clicked. If I built this mess, I could build something better. The man who takes full responsibility walks with power. He doesn't say, why is this happening to me? He says, what am I going to do about it? That mindset shift from victim to architect was the difference between the years I wasted and the years that transformed me. I've seen it with others too. A woman I once mentored was stuck in a rut, blaming her coworkers for holding her back. I told her, what if the problem isn't them? What if it's the story you keep telling yourself? She didn't like that at first, but she took it to heart. 6 months later, she had a promotion, a side business, and more confidence than she ever thought possible. No, because the world changed, but because she did. See, when you stop making excuses, you start making plans. When you stop looking for someone to blame, you start looking for solutions. And when you stop waiting for the right time, you realize it's been in your hands all along. If there's one truth I've seen over and over again, it's this. If you don't take control of your life, someone else will. And believe me, what they've got planned for you probably isn't much. Most people drift not because they lack talent, but because they never sat down to design. They wake up, go to work, come home, repeat. 1 year turns into 10. And one day they look up and wonder how they ended up so far from where they once dreamed they'd be. When I was 25, I was working hard, but I had no direction. Just movement. I was busy, but going nowhere. I remember sitting with a pad and pen and realizing I had never actually written down what I wanted my life to look like. Not in detail, not with purpose. That was the beginning of my design. I started asking, what do I want my income to look like? Where do I want to live? What kind of people do I want around me? What kind of man do I want to become? Let me tell you something. Vague goals lead to vague lives. But when the picture gets clear, the effort gets strong. I once mentored a young man who wanted success, but every week he changed direction. First real estate, then stocks, then another business idea. I told him, you're running on a treadmill. A lot of sweat, but you're not going anywhere. So I had him define his vision for the next 10 years. Clear, detailed, and specific. Within 2 years, his business was thriving, not because he found a shortcut, but because he found clarity. Asterisk. The truth is, you can either live life by decision or by default. And if you choose not to decide, life decides for you. And usually, it doesn't choose well. So don't just hope things will get better. Sit down. Design them. Choose the life you want, or accept what's handed to you. Because the next 10 years will go by no matter what. The question is, will they go by according to your plan or someone else's? You see, the journey to fixing your next 10 years begins not with action, but with clarity. Too many people drift through life with dreams so blurry that they couldn't sketch them on a map if their future depended on it. I've watched men and women chase after vague hopes only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and nowhere near where they intended. It's like setting sail without a compass. No matter how strong the wind, you'll never reach a destination you can't see. Early in my life, I learned the hard way that wanting success or more money isn't enough. Those words are like shadows, elusive and shifting. But when I sat down to get clear, really clear on what I wanted, everything changed. I asked myself, what does a successful day look like? What kind of health do I want? What relationships do I want to nurture? What income do I need to live the life I desire? I wrote it all down, not just once, but daily, until that vision became a part of me. Let me share about a friend of mine, a man stuck in a job he hated but afraid to leave because he needed stability. When he got clear on what he truly wanted, financial freedom, time with family, and peace of mind, he started making decisions that aligned with that vision. He began investing, learning new skills, and eventually built a business that gave him exactly the life he envisioned. The clarity made his choices easier and his steps more purposeful. Clarity fuels determination. When your vision is vivid, your mind naturally aligns your actions to serve it. Without it, you wander, procrastinate, and get distracted. So, if you want to fix your next 10 years, start by painting a picture so sharp that every decision, every action becomes a stroke that brings it to life. Because the clearer you see your destination, the less likely you are to lose your way. When I speak about fixing the next 10 years, it's not enough to simply know what you want. You have to build a life that supports it every single day. Success isn't an accident. It's a pattern. It's the sum of small, consistent actions done day after day. And those actions don't happen by chance. They happen because you design a structure that makes them inevitable. Early on, I found myself overwhelmed, trying to do too much with too little focus. I was busy, but scattered. Then I realized the power of a daily routine, something that anchors you, something you return to no matter what life throws your way. I remember one man who was struggling to grow his business. He was talented, but kept getting distracted by emergencies and endless decisions. I told him, build your day like a fortress. Set your priorities like pillars and defend them. He began blocking out time for deep work. No emails, no phone calls, just focused effort. He created rituals in the morning: reading, planning, exercise. By making these habits non-negotiable, he transformed his productivity. Within a year, his income doubled, not from working harder, but from working smarter. You see, structure isn't about rigidity. It's about creating an environment where excellence becomes automatic. It's about reducing the decisions you have to make so you don't burn out your willpower. The great thinkers of old understood this. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So, if you want to fix your next 10 years, start by fixing your days. Build routines that serve your vision. Protect your time fiercely, and let your structure carry you forward when motivation fades. Because a well-built day leads to a well-built life. And that life is not accidental, it's by design. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: your life will never change until you change what you accept. Too many people chase after bigger goals, but refuse to raise the bar on their daily standards. They want a better future, but settle for the same old habits, the same excuses, the same comfort zones. But a house can't rise higher than its foundation, and neither can your success. Early in my journey, I realized that if I wanted different results, I had to become different, not just in action, but in expectation. I remember setting a simple rule for myself: no more tolerating late starts or half-hearted effort. If I promised to work from 6 in the morning, I showed up. If I said I'd read a book, I read it cover to cover. It was painful at first. Old habits begged for mercy. But every time I raised that floor, every time I refused to accept less, it became easier to reach higher. Think about the great men of history. Their secret wasn't just big dreams, but relentless standards. They refused to live beneath their potential. They didn't wait for motivation. They demanded discipline. As the philosopher Seneca said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." To dare means raising your standards and living by them, no matter the discomfort. I met a young entrepreneur who kept blaming his circumstances for slow progress. When he started holding himself accountable, setting strict rules around his work ethic, his punctuality, his focus, he didn't just grow his business. He transformed his character. His success followed naturally. So if you want to fix your next 10 years, start by refusing to accept the old you. Raise your standards quietly, steadily, until your minimum effort is high enough that your results can't help but improve. Because growth doesn't come from reaching for the stars, it comes from building a stronger foundation beneath your feet. There's a subtle trap that catches many people. It's the urge to start fresh every time things get tough. A new diet on Monday, a new business plan next month, a new habit next year. But the truth is, the problem isn't starting over. It's not following through. Every time you quit and restart, you're actually losing ground. Because momentum is the real secret to progress. I've seen it in my own life. There were times when I would get fired up, ready to change, only to fall back into old patterns after a few days or weeks. It was frustrating, discouraging. But then I realized that the key wasn't perfection. It was persistence. It was the decision to keep going, even when the excitement faded, even when the results seemed distant. Consider the great inventor Thomas Edison. He didn't fail 1,000 times. He simply found 1,000 ways that didn't work. What set him apart was not starting fresh every day, but continuing the work he began until he succeeded. That's the kind of follow-through that transforms lives. I once worked with a young woman who wanted to build a career in writing. She started strong, writing every day, but soon life's distractions pulled her away. Instead of quitting, she made a new commitment. No matter what, she would write 1 sentence a day, just one. That tiny act of follow-through kept her connected to her goal, and over time, those sentences became chapters, then a published book. Fixing your next 10 years isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up day after day. It's about building a habit so strong that even when motivation disappears, your commitment carries you forward. So stop starting over. Master the art of follow-through and watch how your life begins to change, not overnight, but over time, steadily and surely. Time is the one resource we all get the same amount of every day, yet how differently we treat it. I've seen folks waste hours scrolling through distractions, thinking they're just relaxing, when really they're trading away their future. The truth is, time isn't something you manage, it's something you honor. It's the currency with which you buy your destiny, and once spent, you never get it back. I remember when I was young and broke, I thought I had all the time in the world. I'd put off reading, put off building habits, thinking I'd start tomorrow. But tomorrow turned into years, and those years were gone before I realized it. The turning point came when I treated every minute like it was precious, because it is. I started tracking my time, seeing where it really went. That simple act revealed where I was wasting my life. There was a man I knew who worked a full-time job and had a family, but wanted to build a business. Instead of saying, "I don't have time," he carved out just 30 minutes before dawn every day to work on his dreams. It wasn't much, but those minutes added up. 10 years later, he was free, not because he found more hours, but because he honored the ones he had. When you start treating time like gold, you stop giving it away to things that don't serve you. You guard it fiercely. You stop apologizing for protecting your hours and start building a life that reflects their true value. Remember, you can't buy more time, borrow it, or get it back. You can only invest it wisely. If you want to fix your next 10 years, fix your relationship with time first. See it not as endless, but as sacred, and watch how everything else begins to fall into place. As we come to the close of this journey together, remember this: the next 10 years are not some distant future to worry about. They are the very days you live right now, the moments you choose or lose, one by one. You hold the pen to your story, and it's your decisions today that carve the path for a decade of fulfillment, growth, and legacy. No more waiting for perfect conditions. No more blaming the past or circumstances. The power lies within you, and it begins with taking full ownership of your life. Design your days with intention. Raise your standards relentlessly, and commit to the discipline of follow-through. Treat every moment like gold, because time is your most precious asset. This is your call to action. Write down your vision. Build the routines that serve it. Refuse to settle for less than your potential. When pain, fear, or doubt show up, and they will meet them with resolve, not retreat. Keep your eyes on the prize, and let your standards be louder than your excuses. The next 10 years will be shaped by the actions you take today, not tomorrow. So start now. Lead your life. Build your legacy. Your future is waiting. Make it one worth living.